Welcome to this edition of our video blog. We've promised you that anytime a candidate comes in our News Channel 5 newsroom, we'd go ahead and get them on the video blog and talk to them about running for office and ask them some of the questions that you've asked us to ask them as they come on in. All right, so today we have Royal Alexander. Thanks so much for being here, Royal. You're running for Attorney General.
I am indeed.
Remind folks who you are. Some of them may recognize, you may recognize the name Royal Alexander, and then what do they think? Mr. Rodney Alexander, and then we have to say no relation.
That's exactly
Tell us
right.
a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. It is good to be back in Sinlaw. It is good to be back in Alexandria. Thank you for having me by today. I have just finished 3 years of being Chief of Staff to Congressman Rodney Alexander and have enjoyed that greatly. He is a fabulous congressman, and I was honored to work for him and for the 5th District. And 12 years ago, some of your viewers and listeners may remember that I worked for former Congressman Clyde Holloway. So I have been working in and around Sinlaw and really northeast and northwest Louisiana for a number of years.
And you're an attorney by trade.
I am an attorney.
So you're running for Attorney General, which obviously is our state's highest level attorney. So tell us why you would get involved in running for Attorney General. What motivates you?
Absolutely. I've always enjoyed practicing law, but I see it from a larger perspective, Michelle. I think that our state wants to go in a different direction. I think that the current Attorney General leaves a lot to be desired in a number of ways, but instead of focusing on him, I want to focus on what I would like to do. I've always wanted to be a public servant. I have always enjoyed the law. There is no more perfect melding of those two desires than to serve as the Attorney General for the state of Louisiana. The Attorney General, as you suggested a moment ago, is the highest legal law enforcement officer, the chief legal official for our state. He or she defends the state or represents the state. He or she works with the district attorneys, comes in when they are requested, or makes suggestions to them about prosecutions that should be brought. So why do I want to do it? I want to do it because I'm one of 12 children. I was born and raised in Shreveport. I have 31 nieces and nephews. I care very much about Louisiana, and if good people don't get involved, then we're going to continue to be plagued in our state with people who ultimately don't care, first and foremost, about our state.
But the attacks coming on you are already very personal. As a matter of fact, because of being involved with Mr. Alexander's office and having some of the scandals that attacked his office, both on a national scale and a local scale, this is being brought up in your candidacy. Does that sour you to the process? What's your response to that criticism?
Absolutely. I have been around politics and public officials a long time, many years, probably 20 years since I was a very young person. I know, unfortunately, that that's a part of it. But I'm not going to allow things that are untrue, that people say scurrilously and scandalously, but that I know are not true, stop me. I'm not. I know that I'm a good person. I know I'm a good man. I've been a good attorney, and I want to serve our state. So I just am not going to be deterred by it. But I'm proud during all those scandals we went through in Congressman Alexander's office and anything we've ever been accused of, he was resoundingly reelected. He is doing a great job. We had a great staff, and I'm proud to have been a part of it. So to answer your question, it doesn't bother me at all. It, in fact, makes me more resolved to keep going.
What do you want to do as Attorney General? We talk a lot about, you know, the state and the state we're in. So tell us, give us hard, cold facts about what you're going to do to help us if you win.
Absolutely. Very good question. You have to start with the premise that I've seen this from the 30,000 feet level. I've been in Washington, D.C., and I've seen how the rest of the country, how the Congress views Louisiana, and frequently it's not very positive. We can change that. We can change this notion that Louisiana is steeped in cronyism and corruption by having people serve who are not that way. That's the one of the overarching goals of my candidacy, is to help change that image. And every elected official has to do it, for the governor on down, including Attorney General. But as the chief legal officer for our state, I would be part of the group who has to work to change that image. Or we're never going to attract the kind of people in business here, or keep the people in businesses that we have in our state here, unless we change it. That's the first overarching thing. Change this view, this perception of cronyism and corruption. Specifically, we have a real methamphetamine problem in this state. Especially, it's plaguing the rural areas. Where cocaine was a problem in the 80s and so forth, Meth is far more addictive, it is cheaper to make, and it is destroying some of our rural communities.
So how can the AG's office help with that? It seems that's a local level issue.
It is, but the Attorney General works hand in hand with district attorneys, and where the Attorney General, where he or she puts the emphasis and the resources of that office, is where results will be gotten. And if the Attorney General pushes the district attorneys in our state, especially in the rural parishes, to focus on prosecutions for methamphetamine, I promise you we'll see that problem be taken head on. But it's dangerous, it's easily cooked in a tub, you can move it quickly, it's really a dangerous problem.
What about internet predators? You're the incumbent and you're the challenger, I guess you're the challenger, but of course Attorney General Foti is telling us that this is a big issue here within our state. It seems all you have to do is get a law enforcement official to get on the computer and bam, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, they say. What are you going to do to help?
It is a real problem. The internet has both great strengths and great weaknesses. One of its great weaknesses and real dangers is the possibility of internet predators and the circulation of internet, through the internet, of child pornography. We absolutely have to take a stronger stand. And by that I mean we have to request greater federal funding. Having just come from Congressman Alexander's office, he is on the Appropriations Committee. I'm very familiar with how that lobbying process goes. I can assure you no other candidate in this race will know the ins and outs of the appropriations process in Washington. That's where funding for more of this fight against internet predators and internet child pornography will come from. It has to be federal resources. Some of it is state, but the large majority of it is federal. And I'm familiar with how to go about lobbying and persuading for that funding.
This is off point, but I did tell you that I was going to ask you about this. We talk a lot in the video blog about the process between the politics and the internet community, the blogosphere. How are you going to use the internet community? Mr. Jindal has used it beautifully to try and get a base going on the internet. Are you going to do that?
Absolutely. I have about 4 days ago we launched my website. I think probably 130,000 emails where people were alerted at the same time about the existence of my website. I'm going to be doing different talks, conversations in the form of a video blog. I'm going to be using it for fundraising. In fact, I've already received contributions from around the state from people who are displeased with Mr. Foti. So I'm already using it. I will use it more. More and more people are gathering their information through the internet, and I'm going to be right in the middle of it. And
will people be able to interact with you and ask you questions? Because I know our viewers, that's what they're looking for. That's what people that watch the video blog are looking for, is a way to interact directly with you.
Absolutely, there will be. And that feature is being worked on. It's just a matter, I've only been in the race, I guess, about 2.5 weeks, putting in place some of these things, but my website will have that feature just as soon as I can sit down and figure out what is the best way to receive questions and then respond, and whether or not it's going to be in real time or whether or not I will take questions and then answer them and put that there to be accessed by anyone who wants to.
How do you respond to the criticism that you may simply not be qualified enough for this position?
Absolutely. I would just have to respectfully disagree. I was a very good law student. I was on law review. I served on the moot court board. I clerked for a federal judge in Lafayette. It's a very rare honor and privilege to clerk for a federal judge. Then I practiced with an excellent statewide insurance defense firm, Johnson & Remedy, with Lafayette, with offices in Lafayette, Shreveport, New Orleans, and Houston. And after that, I did some plaintiff work with an excellent plaintiff firm in Shreveport, Smith & John. So
you know both sides.
I do. I know both plaintiff and defense. But I'll tell you this. Probably the people who would say that would be supporting Mr. Foti, and I would have to tell them that if the way Mr. Foti has conducted himself and handled that office is any example of experience, then I'm happy I don't have any of that kind of experience. I think I do. What I bring is a fresh perspective, someone who is sincere, someone who knows the law, and someone who wants to make a difference in our state. And if that kind of sincere and that sincerity and integrity are not part of someone's motivation, then they don't need to be elected.
Does Mr. Jindal support your candidacy? You're a fellow Republican.
Absolutely. I'm sure he will.
Will he endorse you?
Typically in races, people have to run their own races, and it's kind of a cardinal rule. No one gets involved in anyone else's races. But I do think all the elected Republican officials toward the end of the race, when it will do me the most good, will all endorse me. I think they'll do do that across the state.
And we don't know if Mr. Hurd, Paul Hurd, is running as well.
I don't think he is, but I don't know.
Does it affect your candidacy at all?
No, the people that I know all over, especially North Louisiana, I'm continuing to call, raising money. I've had great success raising money in just 3 weeks. I'm kind of overwhelmed by that. But no, what anyone else does doesn't affect me. I'm going to be here all the way through October 20th.
All right. Well, we have a lot more questions, but we have to put an end to our interview right now. And thank you so much for coming by. Of course, we do always ask that you give us comments. It's right there in the bottom of the box right there, and take part in our online conversation. We appreciate you viewing this installment of our video blog.